Ben and I are going to try to build a Holochain app in 15 minutes from scratch. Let me give you this link in the chat, Ben. This is for downloading a zip file for Mac OS.
I'm grabbing it now.
And it's for those listening, that is the Holochain proto releases, an alpha, our most recent alpha release, 4th alpha release. And if you can then open a terminal window and just navigate into that directory.
No problem.
I'm going to give you another link. The second link I'm giving you is to our scaffolding engine, where we're going to use this as a rapid application development tool to pop up a platform, pop up an app really quickly.
CD code. All right, what am I doing in here?
All right, so well, we could do a quick thing of running Clutter, because this came with a directory there. That Clutter is our peer-to-peer Twitter app that just come with this. But let's actually not run Clutter at the moment, just because we set out to build Medium.com. Let's
all right.
So all you're going to need to do over here for the moment is type /hc. Let's do hcdev init. There you go. So this is initialized you into developer mode. We've generated a private key pair, private-public key pair for you. It made up an identity string for you. Ben's MacBook Pro 3.local, and so we've initialized a system for a developer here on your system. And then what we want to do is switch back to the other link that I gave you to the scaffolding, our sort of rapid application development framework.
Yep.
Let's just, what's going to happen is on the left, you're going to type things. On the right, we're going to generate code. Let's name it, you know, what's the P2P Medium app going to be called?
It's going to be called,
I don't know, Peer Blog or something. And
Peer Blog. All right. I was aiming for a pun, but I think that's probably better. Decentralized blogging made simple. Okay.
Cool. All right. So a zome is a chromosome, which is if you think about DNA, you know, the little parts so we call the application code in Holochain your DNA, and you have, there's a bunch of reasons for this, because all the other nodes in the network running that DNA are cells in the same organism, and they identify each other as such. They actually can only talk to each other when you're running the same code, when you have the same DNA. So we're going to generate a new DNA here, and so let's add a zome. This is as if it's a module in your code. Think modularly. So for Medium, we may want something like we may want like 3 zones: users, posts, and comments or something, right?
Okay.
Let's start with posts.
So that's the name of the code module?
Yeah. And case will matter. So only capitalize if you mean to always capitalize it in your code. It's fine if you want to.
Depends if it's going to be an object or not. So
this is the module name.
This is the module, so screw it. Okay, so it's let's make it lowercase. Purpose of the module is to store and process individual posts, right?
Yep. And actually, if you scroll back up to the very top field, case matters there too. So if you want, maybe we want to make that lowercase, and cool.
Yeah.
And then now we're talking entries. Are the entries in your chain or DHT? Think of this like your database fields. So what we're going to do is add a post here for for a blog post, right? Article or something. You want to call it article or?
Sure, article is good. Yeah.
Oops, gotta.
I can't type at all. There we go. Article. Yeah.
Cool. We're going to leave that a JSON format. It's going to be shared publicly because we're going to post it to shared space. Now we have CRUD function options. What what functions do we want the code to generate for you? Create, read, update, delete.
I mean, that sounds right for posting, right? Create, read, update, delete. We want the whole set.
Perfect.
So, okay.
Now let's add another Zome entry, I think, for what I'm looking for here is what other things related to articles might need to be connected, linked in.
So we might need comments. We might need a stream to place an article in. I don't know if this fits in the data module where you have
publications.
Yeah, publications is going to be important here. That's kind of what I mean by a stream.
Should that be a different zone, or should that be a different module that pulls in articles?
It probably should be a different module if we're thinking about it in terms of that. So
cool. So, and I think comments should be a separate module as well, personally. Although Medium treats them kind of the same, like
an article. Yeah, a comment is just an article on Medium. So, so maybe we, like in our, seeing as we're doing this quickly.
So let's click on the 3 dots over to the right-hand side of the CRUD.
Yeah.
This is showing you a JSON schema for the article format. Let's click on the link in the header there, the jsonschema.net.
Yeah.
And this is just a little tool that helps you build schemas. In the left-hand box where there's that submit button, if you kind of delete all that stuff, except for the starting, well, it's fine. Except for the starting and ending curly braces, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's just create this JSON for, we're going to have it like a title. So put in quotes, title, colon, and then that's going to be, let's put a sample title in there. My
Here's my post. Okay.
Great. And then let's put a comma, and let's do a body. And then you can, yep, exactly. And what else? What are the other fields that we need here?
We need the posted time, so created.
We don't need the author or the time because everything is signed and time-stamped to your chain.
Beautiful. So we might want tags, maybe?
Tags. Let's do tags.
Can we have nested?
You can do tags, and then what you're going to do is make it an array with exactly. And let's throw some tags in there.
Great.
Cool. All right. And then submit that. And it will generate it generates a schema over on the right-hand side.
Oh, that's great.
In the sort of tabs on the top, click plain.
Yep.
And then you can, over on the upper right, you can click the sort of copy icon. Great, and then switch back to the tab there and replace all of this schema with the one you just generated.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
All right, done.
Cool. All right, so now we have our article format. Then let's add another Zome function that we're gonna want to put in that's just called article feed or something like that. Or if you can just call it feed even, right? If you want to see all the articles for a particular.
Oh, okay. So this would be for retrieving the feed, for seeing the article.
Yeah, just listing. It could be, you could call it list articles even. Let's call it list articles just to.
I think that would be most descriptive. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Cool.
And then that's good. Let's add the next Zome as a publication.
Okay.
And publication is going to gather a bunch of themed articles or something like that.
Yeah. Well, themed articles. Let's just say it contains. I was going to say Python Golfer, but maybe not. So, okay.
Great. So let's do the same thing. Add a Zome entry and select all the.
Right.
Yep. Select all the CRUD.
Okay. Yeah.
That's so weird. And then let's pop the thing up. And actually, the 3 dots. Sorry, click the 3 dots, and then click paste. Sorry, highlight. No, I don't think we even need to go there again. I think we can just edit the one that we had because the article, like highlight all that, and then paste your old one in. So this here we're going to have the publication title.
Yeah. So I'll call this my test publication.
Yeah, and then the other thing is going to be, is there a publication description?
Yeah, so let's change body to description.
Great. I describe good. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And what other things does a publication need to have? We probably, we're going to need to link. Links are buggy in the scaffolding as of this weekend. We introduced a bug, but that's okay. We will.
I think we can keep it this way. I think I'm gonna keep tags here just because it's important to be able to find a publication, right? So
yeah. Great. So let's then just go back and let's do. I want to do a couple things because we want to have an administrator for the publication. That's the first administrator. So let's add another Zome entry and make it administrator, or make it admin link, actually. Whoops.
Admin link.
Yep. And then we're going to make it of type link for the data format.
Okay.
But you need to unselect the create and read functions because we have a bug right now that I don't think we've pushed the fix to this weekend. We introduced a bug just before the hackathon this weekend where we used this. So we're going to actually have it not generate the functions for you, but it will at least put it in the DNA.
Okay.
This is a good enough start for the moment, actually. We can run with this for the moment. So in the menu button on the right, just download the scaffold file, zip file. Yep. Download that.
Okay.
And then we want to unzip that into the same directory where you installed those other things.
Okay. So what we're doing is we're taking the contents of the. Oh wow, I see. So we just want to take this whole peer blog directory and put it in the.
Make it a sibling of Clutter in that Holochain directory. Because Clutter is an app, and now Peer Blog is an app.
Got it. Okay, so. Okay.
Great. So now we'll go into the Peer Blog directory and let's run it.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Actually, do you have some kind of editor that you use for code ever? Like, or
I mean, I don't have a generic. I've got an IDE installed that's not going to be so great for this. So let's.
JavaScript? Can it edit JavaScript?
Yeah, it can. So okay, I'll pull it up. So
just so I can give you a quick orientation to the code.
Okay, so shall I open it at Peer Blog or shall I open it at the
Peer Blog level? Yep.
Okay, cool.
Great. So underneath this Peer Blog level, you can see there's a few different directories. Great. So you can see there's a few different directories. DNA is actually the program code. Test is test-driven development. Test are the test files. And you can see those. And then UI is for the UI. Once you've run this it will create a new directory as well called DB, which is where the databases are. And there will be a chain DB, your local chain, as well as a DHT DB, which will be your portion of the DHT. Your shard of the DHT will live in there. So let's look at the DNA.json file for a second.
Okay.
So this is sort of a master file that has some settings in it, and then it pulls together all the other parts of the system. It pulls together what functions and schemas are being referenced, and this is kind of the assembly file, if you will, that pulls everything, builds the assembly out of the other portions.
Nice.
So what we need to do is we need to go. Actually, let's go to the command line again real quick, and just run hcdev test. You need to do /hcdev. Oops. No.
Oh, you want me in the directory still, and then
I want you to be in the directory, but just do /hcdev space test. It's going to run all the tests, and they're going to fail for the most part, right? Okay. So we're doing test-driven development, and we've actually generated a bunch of tests for you already, but failing. And the reason for that is we don't presume to know what kind of peer-to-peer validation you may want to enforce. So if we go back to your IDE for a moment, and we click inside the posts directory on the post.js.
Yeah.
So this is what we're going to do here is we're going to do a global search and replace for false. Do you see how, oops, you just on the bottom of the screen there, you just showed some validation code. And right now validation is always returning false, a little bit lower.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And so no tests are going to pass because nothing is going to validate.
So you want me to search replace false with true?
That's right. So we have this nice little thing here that says, do not just change this to true. Think about the validation you're doing, but we're going to break that rule right now.
Sounds good.
Replace all the falses with true.
Done. Yeah.
Great. Now rerun your tests.
This is exactly how I love to code. Okay, so we got...
Okay, so we have a bunch of tests passing, but not quite all of them.
But not in publication because we didn't... That didn't do it universal.
Exactly.
So let me sort that out right now. So if I go to validate, false with true, replace all. I should have done universally and listened to you. I apologize.
No worries.
But yeah, now we've got all the tests passing.
All the tests pass.
Now
can we actually look at the tests that are passing just so you can see what they're doing?
All right, let's take a look. So
there's a test directory. If you click on the posts.json tests, you can see it's doing an article create, putting in the example there called thoughts, and then it is doing an article read, and it's seeing if what it gets back is the object that it sticks in there with the test post and thoughts and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So there we go. And then we are, what are we doing? We are doing a update and a delete, and list does nothing because the function currently does nothing. We haven't actually told it what to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, the tests are passing, but they're just pretty basic tests.
But this is really exciting. So what you've given me is a whole framework with a complete set of, well, not a complete set, but like a working set of tests.
Yeah.
That I can then expand. I'm going to assume that the HTML interface here allows me to at least test these APIs.
Yeah, let's run it so you can actually go into the UI we just generated for you as well.
Okay. So how do we do that?
Type /hcdev space web.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're launching this project in web server mode on localhost port 4141 there. You can see it's...
Okay, so just localhost 4141?
You got it. Now let's do the API docs. So this isn't a user UI. This is a developer UI, so that you can practice passing things in to your functions. And you can see that if you pause there on the drop-down or right below the drop-down, the computed URL is localhost 4141/fn. That's where we call functions. And then we add to that the Zome name, and then we add to that the function name.
Yeah.
You pass all the other stuff in, on the post, basically, in the body of the post. And so you can see that you can practice typing things in here to the body of the posts and pass things in, so you can test your code. And then something you can do is you can read the source code of this page, grab these functions, and actually start building things out of it that already are calling into the back end, right? So we don't know what you want your front end to look like, but we just made it so you can call all your functions that you exposed to the UI.
That's extremely cool. So I then can build a front end using the technology of my choice that uses these APIs.
That's right. So we have some people using React and Redux, some people using jQuery, others using Vue.js, whatever, right? So
that's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
And so I think we hit 20 minutes, not 15.
But still. that's pretty good going. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, but that's absolutely magnificent, and it's kind of that. So that's exactly. I had no idea that you had this, and I think this is it does make it super, super easy, and that's tremendously exciting. That's easier than
frankly, most web frameworks. So,
I mean, if you have some web stack knowledge, I mean, what we're trying to do is make it accessible to current knowledge out there, So this version of Holochain written in Go has a couple different languages you can build to. JavaScript is the one almost everybody's building to. There's also Lisp, which we put in there largely just because we needed to put two, just to show that you could build more of them. Some people were looking at doing a Python one. Instead, they made a transpiler that they just transpile the Python to JavaScript and it runs in there. Some people did a similar thing with OCaml and BuckleScript. So the current version, you can use OCaml, BuckleScript, Python, JavaScript, or Lisp. In the next one that we're refactoring our system right now to be able to make things run inside browsers more efficiently. And so we're compiling to WebAssembly as our first nucleus that runs the DNA. And so that means you can run C, C#, C++, Rust, assembly script, TypeScript, JavaScript type stuff, right? I don't know. I think there's a few more that have mature compilers and about 30 more languages that are working on compilers for WebAssembly. So basically, you can write an app in any of those languages. And then we may get some more of those nuclei set up for other languages. But because the first one supports so many languages, it's become less of a pressing priority. Awesome. Oh, I forgot to show you one of the other things because it didn't come in it, but there's also scenario testing. Because this is a peer-to-peer framework, the types of tests that we were just running were just kind of unit tests. You have to be able to spin up multiple nodes that then do interactions to be able to actually test peer-to-peer security and stuff. So we also have that as part of the testing framework, which is important, or because the only way you can make it viable.
Yeah, and I mean that makes me wonder about as well. So not just in terms of operating within a with multiple nodes up and running, but also operating in, like, we've had some Wi-Fi issues in this call. Like, what happens when you have like my home internet? I've got a privacy lab box up and running here, and it just goes offline all the time because it turns out I'm in the El Cerrito Hills, and we get power cuts all the time. I had no idea until I tried to install my own server here, and so I imagine like testing for that kind of thing is important as well.
Well, so I mentioned that we have key management as one of the core applications to run on top of, like right now on blockchain, if you lose your keys, you lost your coins, right? And we don't think that makes the system actually ready for prime time for real humans to use. If you've been, writing your blog for 2 years and you lose your keys, you shouldn't lose control of that, right? So we have key management as part of the infrastructure built in. And so one of the things that you can do is each device has to have its own keys that it's using for, each device has to have its own chain. But if we've recognized that this instance of you running peer blog and this other instance of you running peer blog are under the same key manager, meaning you're under the same identity managing their keys, then we can synchronize your local data across those devices so that you have a copy of your phone's local chain on your laptop and a copy of your privacy box's local chain on your phone and whatever. And that way, your data is, first of all, automatically backed up to yourself across your devices. And then you also can, regain control of those things. But it also means that you can act as you across multiple devices. So your box may have gone offline, but you still have your phone online or whatever, and it makes you still reachable.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today, and it's exciting.